think about it. What would it feel like to fly like this? What would it feel like to be Superman? The most powerful man on earth. What kind of person would choose the life of a superhero and be successful at it? It is a service job, after all. And a thankless one at that. Certainly, every job has its challenges, but this one is singular and lonely. Hollywood has been making Superman movies since the late 1940s, with varying degrees of success. But Superman Returns is alone in that it asks and answers certain fundamental questions. Exactly who is this man? And what does it cost him to put on this cape? Superman Returns is easily the most melancholy superhero movie ever released by a Hollywood studio. It's a $175 million blockbuster about grief, mourning, catharsis, and healing. It's slow and relatively quiet, more interested in atmosphere, relationships, and feelings than in plot and action. Much of the film seems to be unfolding in a cloud. It's about learning to accept disappointment and pain, numb but trying to feel again, disillusioned but trying to believe again. We're told that Superman disappeared entirely after astronomers discovered the distant remains of his homeworld, Krypton.
Did you find what you were looking for?
I thought, hoped, it might still be there.
You're home.
I'm all that's left.
From the perspective of theatergoers and the citizens of Metropolis, the Man of Steel, as played by newcomer Brandon Routh, has been gone for quite some time.
Sorry. Watch out, will you?
Excuse me?
Sorry.
And so Superman is back on the job, doing good, saving lives. Although it is never directly acknowledged on screen, Superman flies in a post-9/11 America. At times, it is a world he barely recognizes.
We got everybody out of the lobby.
In 2006, the America that saw Superman Returns for the first time had little use for pretend do-gooders. The only heroes that counted were real ones.
Just trying to figure out what took place here, and then try to...
And like the America that first laid eyes on this film, the citizens of Metropolis find themselves questioning the very idea of Superman, of heroes, period.
Just hold on tight.
Reporter Lois Lane has won a Pulitzer Prize for an editorial called Why the World Doesn't Need Superman.
Must be tough coming back.
I'm coming back.
To work.
Yeah. Well, you know, things change.
Yeah. He looks just like his mom. Already takes after her, too. Especially when it comes to getting into trouble.
Mother.
Oh, yeah. Well, I guess you've been gone. Fearless reporter Lois Lane is a mommy.
Hi.
Hello.
In the midst of his personal confusion, the Man of Steel is stunned to discover that Lois has settled down with Daily Planet colleague Richard White, the nephew of the paper's publisher Perry White, and that she now has a moody, asthmatic son named Jason, whose very existence puts a period at the end of their relationship, although it's clear that Superman and Lois would rather treat it as an ellipse.
Because she'll never tell you this, but if you ask me, she's still in love with you-know-who. Hey, kiddo. How are you?
The love triangle between Lois, Richard, and Superman forms the film's bittersweet core. It's one of the few genuinely adult relationships in superhero films.
Were you in love with him?
He was Superman. Everyone was in love with him.
But were you?
Lois's anger at being abandoned is palpable.
No.
For Lois Lane and the rest of humankind, his disappearance was sudden and painful. This deep yet unfinished personal connection vexes both of them.
Thought maybe if you'd like, we could go grab some food.
Hey, can I ask you something?
Sure.
Have you ever met someone? It's almost like you were from totally different worlds, but you showed such a strong connection that you knew you were destined to be with each other. And then he just takes off without explaining why or without even saying goodbye.
All of these themes come together in a single scene. Lois and Superman encounter each other on the roof of the Daily Planet for the first time in years.
You know, you really shouldn't smoke, Miss Lane.
These ex-lovers have met this way before.
You really shouldn't smoke, you know, Miss Lane.
Don't tell me lung cancer, right?
Well, not yet, thank goodness.
But his disappearance has made things complicated.
Well, you're back, and everyone seems to be pretty happy about it.
So the Man of Steel flies back into her life.
Not everyone. I read the article, Lois.
Yeah, so did a lot of people. Tomorrow night they're giving me the Pulitzer.
Why did you write it?
Obsessed with what might have been.
How could you leave us like that? I moved on. So did the rest of us. That's why I wrote it. The world doesn't need a savior. And neither do I.
Just how fast do you fly, by the way?
Oh, I don't know, really. No, never actually, bothered to time myself.
No?
Say, why don't we find out?
And how do you propose we do that?
Take a ride with me?
Lois. Will you come with me?
Why? Clark said the reason you left without saying goodbye is because it was too unbearable for you.
Lark, who's that, your boyfriend?
This is the guy I work with.
Maybe Clark's right.
Their nighttime slow dance over the skies of Metropolis in the original Superman the movie was intoxicatingly upbeat.
Can you read my mind? Do you know what it is that you do to me? I don't know who you are.
It marked the beginning of a great love story.
Just a friend from another star.
It served the same function as a dance routine in an old musical.
Here I am, like a kid out of school.
It was a sex scene.
Holding hands with a god.
In metaphor.
I'm a fool.
You know my Richard. He's a pilot. He takes me up all the time.
Not like this.
Their flight in Superman Returns is the grown-up flip side of the one in the previous film.
I forgot how warm you are.
Composer John Ottman's score for this scene is as bittersweet as the original was romantic. He captures their tentative feelings for each other by writing around, almost flirting with, John Williams' original love theme from the first film. This flight is that one last dance for old time's sake. By the time Ottman quotes the full theme from the first movie, we and they know that there can never be another. It's a bitter acknowledgement of unrealized dreams. Superman Returns is far from perfect, yet its flaws don't diminish the film's impact. Its greatness originates in its respect for Superman's decency. In Routh's graceful, almost balletic incarnation of the character, and in Bryan Singer's decision to express the hero's goodness in a cascade of iconic images as beautiful as Superman himself, challenging us, daring us not to fall in love with him. Yet every part of Routh's performance as both Clark Kent and Superman is rooted in our collective memory of another man. Though he lacks Christopher Reeve's sunbeam warmth, Routh compensates with a soft-spoken, Boy Scout melancholy that's unique among superhero performances.
Lois?
In fact, this story is so dependent upon our knowing what happened in 1978's Superman the movie.
Lois, we did have a date tonight, remember?
And in its follow-up, Superman 2, that at times it feels like a long-delayed sequel in which the principal cast has been replaced.
Oh, hey, sorry guys, I'm still looking for a place to live. If you know of anything.
I was at first really nervous about tonight. But then I decided, well,
Singer expresses this continuity by reviving elements from the Reeve movies.
Well, I certainly hope this little incident hasn't put you off flying, miss.
I hope this experience hasn't put any of you off flying.
Statistically speaking, of course, it's
still the safest way to travel.